Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Ray. You are listening to a least worst of. The doctor is in. We have no best of, but this is truly one of our least worst. You want the good news, you want the bad news?
I don't like either one of those options.
Your words are super wise, man.
Is this the Dr. Ray?
You know, we're not doing therapy here.
But you're a psychologist.
I'm certainly not going to get myself in trouble by telling you what to do.
I gotta say, you're really helping me by taking my call today.
I just never thought I would call your show.
All right, first of all, my advice to you is going to be to shut your mouth.
I like that. I can do that. That's doable.
You're my second favorite Italian person.
I hope you're going to agree with me.
Well, no, I'm sorry. I just was calling to let you know that you are right.
Nevertheless, I digress.
Now, from the studios of Living Bread Radio Network in Canton, Ohio, the hometown of Mother Angelica, here's Dr. Ray.
I told Andrew, scour our past calls. Go back 20 years if you have to. Find out if we have anybody else saying, I just called to tell you were right. He said he did. He said he went way back. He went back to almost to the inception of the show. And in fact, he said, no, that was the one. That was the one we had. The one you were right. All right. Well, okay. I'll get a couple of my friends to call in and record that. Good to have you here on The Doctor Is In. I'm delighted to be with you. This call-in program, you are the callers. I am the callee. Very simple. You have a number, 877-573-7825. 877-57 Very, very simple 3-bit piece of memory. 877-57 If you have a question about a circumstance or a person in your life, maybe from age 2 to age 102. We did have a 100-year-old individual call the program once. Haven't had any 2-year-olds. We have heard some in the background. That's standard there with parents of preschoolers. They can't get on the phone in peace anymore. You know the kids are there. Or if you have a question about the faith as it intersects with psychology or something you don't understand about the mental health world, get a lot of cultural questions, how the culture misshapes our souls or how the culture misleads us or nudges our kids away from the faith. We have all that kind of stuff. So just something that you say, okay, I know you can't do therapy here, Dr. Ray, but I want to give your thoughts, get your thoughts on a couple of things about this. Something that maybe we could put our heads together and come up with a direction that gets momentum heading in another helpful way. 877-573-7825 is the number to call, and I would be absolutely delighted to talk with you. You can even call in and say, hi, Dr. Ray. Just wanted to say hello, see how things are going for you. Where we are here, it's raining, and I got a new mini print. I got a new mini print for the bathroom. You know, kind of like an auditory Facebook. You can say, yeah, I was just eating a bologna sandwich this morning, and I bit it into the shape of a giraffe, and I just wanted to take a picture of it. But since this is radio, I can't take a picture of it, so I'll describe it for you. You can do that. You can do that. 877-57 In one of my books, I talked about the law of social reciprocity. Now, those are my words. As far as I know, no one else has ever coined that phrase. The law of social reciprocity. Simply stated, it means I expect you to treat me the way I treat you. Now, Christians can't operate according to that law because the way we are obliged by our Lord to treat others may not at all be the way they are obliged by whatever moral system they follow to treat us. There is a perversion of the golden rule. The golden rule says, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. The perversion is this, and I think sometimes it twists us and it frustrates us because we operate according to it. It says, do unto others well and they will treat you well. Huh? That doesn't follow. The law of social reciprocity says, if I'm kind to you, if I don't make snarky remarks about you or your opinions or your beliefs, if I treat you with respect, if I don't try to manipulate you to my own ends, you will do the same to me. Now, there's a big difference between the hope that that will happen and the expectation that that will happen. If you expect that will happen, I guarantee you, you're going to get real frustrated. Why? Because people don't act according to your moral value system, especially if you are a serious, committed follower of Christ. His guidance, his rules, his obligations, his conditions for treating other people well are pretty high. They're very, very high. You don't return insult for insult. You don't mistreat others because you have a justification to. You're not aggressive because they deserve it. In other words, you do not guide your behavior by their behavior. You don't act according to the leeway that they provide you because they do it. You can't do that. But yet, in subtle ways, that's a law that we live by. I treat you a certain way, therefore, you treat me a certain way. Well, that'd be nice. That'd be ideal. May not happen. And if you want it to happen, if you expect it to happen, if you demand it would happen, you're going to be frustrated. You're going to be upset. You're going to be angry. You may sever the relationship with that other person. If you have a relative that is just tough for you, just flat out difficult to get along with, if you expect them to act according to a certain set of social principles, social guidance, respect, and they don't, every time are you going to get upset? Or are you going to recognize they just don't follow the same rules of life that you do? Your rules of life were given by the Savior. Maybe theirs weren't. Or maybe they declare that theirs weren't, but they don't necessarily live by them when they become inconvenient. The law of social reciprocity is not a law that Christians should operate by. We are obliged to treat others a certain way, independent of how they treat us. Now, one might say, but wait a minute. They could treat us so badly that it's dangerous for us to be around them. It's so severely troublesome to our well-being that we can't be around them. Yeah, there are those cases. But my experience as a psychologist is this. Most people in our close social circle, because those are the ones we have to get along with, are not so bad that we have to sever ourselves from them. They can be all kinds of negative characteristics we don't like, but that's very different than I've got to get away from them or I will have a psychotic break. Most of the time, that's not the case. Most of the time, I don't like what they say. I don't like how they act. I don't like their opinions. Now, this is not to say you have to be close to them. You don't have to say, well, that's okay. I have to be as very close to this one particular relative as this other relative who understands me and who thinks like I do, and we share so many wonderful moments together. No, you don't have to be equally close. But what you do is if they are in your circle, if they're your father or your mother-in-law or your cousin or your brother or your adult child, it behooves you to stretch yourself to get along with them. And the law of social reciprocity will stop you from doing that. It's Dr. Ray.
You're listening to the least worst of The Doctor Is In with Dr. Ray Guarendi. So please, no calls at this time.
My wife asked me yesterday, did I like the movie? And I thought, well, chances are if you're crying at the end of it, it wasn't my favorite. It's a touching movie about orphan puppies who were rescued from a flood. As I was watching Rocky 26. An anonymous caller from Ohio. She's involved in a rather intricate custody battle. Hello, Anonymous from Ohio. Thanks for the call. Hey, Eric, I don't know. I don't know if Anonymous knows she's there or not. Anonymous, are you there or not?
Hello?
There you go. Where did you go?
Oh,
You're just
sorry,
ignoring me?
sorry. Sorry, I accidentally muted you.
Well, hey, you didn't. Hey, when women mute me, it's not an accident.
Okay, here we go, Dr. Ray. My son, who lives out of state, got divorced when his two sons were like a couple years old. They have shared custody. And now the youngest one is 13. And my son has always said that his kids come first no matter what. He's not going to, get involved with anybody in a, deep way as long as he's raising his kids, when they're grown. Adults, that's different. Well, apparently something has changed. And
yeah, it's amazing how matters of the heart do that, isn't it?
Yeah, but I don't know anything about this woman. I know, well, he doesn't even know I know. I only found out from my grandson. So my grandson is now living with his mother, in the same state. Maybe, I don't even know how far apart. So
is your grandson totally with his mother? In other words, Dad's given up custody?
No, he didn't give it up. He just said, he's going through something, and, he didn't think it would be 6 months, and he didn't think that it would now be going into the court. Mm-hmm. So, and I do understand when they get a certain age, they can decide who they want to stay with. But
I'm not sure about that. I want to correct you on that. That used to be the case, say, for example, here in Ohio. And then they realized that kids aren't exactly the best judge of who the best parent is. And they take it into account. But it is not the deciding factor, as I understand it. I think the courts realized that was a mistake.
Oh, wow.
So,
that's it. I'm glad to know that. I didn't know that. Well, anyway, the ironic thing is my son also, when he was 15, decided to go live with his father and went to court, and of course I lost because he was 15 and he was old enough at that point, the way the law was back then. So I had no control. The judge said he, was looking out for his future and blah, blah, blah. So now he's going through it with his own son. But anyway, I've been talking to my grandson, and I believe my grandson, he's being honest, that he feels that this new relationship, this woman has a couple of kids, and she's also renting from my son downstairs in the basement of their home.
So cutting to it, dear, your grandson says, I'm really not sure I want to live with Dad the 50% of the time because the girlfriend's a real problem for me. I don't get along with her, and I don't like what she does.
Yes.
Okay.
And well, not so much that, but it's also, I don't know, it's also that she has two children, and he feels that.
Well, whatever the circumstances, whatever the circumstances is, he's saying he doesn't want to live there. Okay.
Right.
So you're saying your involvement in this is what?
I don't know. As a grandmother and as a mother, do I give my advice? I mean, they're not asking for it, but it breaks my heart that this is all going on. And my son is so closed-minded to think that, well, maybe the problem is me. He's blaming it all on the ex-wife is brainwashing their son, and I don't think that's happening.
So what you have is an indication that your son doesn't want to hear it, that if you go to your
Yes.
son and you say, your son doesn't want to live with you anymore, which he already probably knows that, Mom. He knows
He does
that.
know that, but he doesn't.
Okay.
He doesn't know that I know the reason.
Well, if you want to talk to your son, you can ask him, do you know the reason why he doesn't? And if he says, yeah, I know why, because my ex-wife is polluting his mind.
That's exactly what he's thinking and saying.
And you tell him this. Well, have you asked your son what his reason is? Now, I don't think it's going to make any difference. Just my speculation. I don't think it matters. I think your son is going to pursue this relationship and hope that his son comes to accept it. But in the meantime, if his son says, I just can't live there, I'm living with Mom full time, you really don't have much say in this, Grandma. You don't. The only way you might want to delicately approach it is you say to your son, do you know why he doesn't want to live with you? And then when he tells you his reason, if you think from talking to the son, the boy, that that's not the reason, then you ask your son, have you asked him? Has he been honest with you why it might be? And then if you really want to get risky, you say, well, he's talked to me about it. And I don't know if you want to know, but I can only tell you what he told me. That's the 3 steps I would take. Got it?
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, I'll have to be very careful that I don't betray either person's confidence.
Well, yeah, if your grandson said, don't say anything, please don't say anything, then you can't do step number 3.
Right,
But you
that's the case.
But you can go to the grandson and say, what's stopping you from telling your dad this?
Yeah, or I could say, is it okay if I talk to Dad about it? Your
there
dad
you go.
about it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
You're not as dumb as I look.
You don't look dumb. I saw you in person.
Well, thank you, sweetheart, for the call. Okay.
Thank you for all your help. All your help helping people. It's just wonderful.
Well,
wonderful
bless your heart.
that we have someone like you to turn to.
They pay me. Come on, they pay me.
Come on. No, you do it from the heart too. I could tell. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you, dear.
Ray.
Okay.
Bye.
Jackie is a young mother of 2 children after the horrific Catholic school shooting in, I believe, Minneapolis it was. A lot of folks posting, prayer doesn't work. Look at this. These kids were praying, and while they were praying, this happened to them. See? Just goes to show ya. Hi, Jackie.
Hi.
Well, first of all, they have a very warped idea about prayer. But second of all, my guess would be that the majority of those people who say that, you see that those terrible things happened while they were praying. What kind of prayer effectiveness is this? Those are people, if you took a poll of those people, they're looking for some excuse not to pay much attention to the faith.
Yeah. And I think that's what I'm struggling with. I'm 35 years old, and we have 2 kids. One who survived, she's our miracle child, wasn't expected to survive. So we really lean in on our faith. And I think one thing that's happened is, as you grow up, friends from high school, et cetera, you kind of, you used to all think the same. And then you notice that, different perspectives and start to shape, and especially with social media. And so I feel like I've find myself maybe isolated in my own views because they're very faith-based. And I'm trying to kind of strike a balance between advocating when, even though it could be maybe advocating in a way that I think is honorable and respectful. Because one thing I communicated to my friend was, I feel like, saying how this pierces the heart of Jesus to condemn prayer. Why can't, and just kind of challenging, why can't we have both change and prayer? Obviously, these kids are at a school that, like my own daughter goes to, where they go to mass. And
was your friend even open to anything you said?
She was offended because she said that obviously this was just kind of a flippant thing that she shares, that she doesn't personally believe that we shouldn't pray, but that there shouldn't be no more excuses about that there needs to be more action. But just a lot of the things that have been shared, I feel like, especially amongst people my age or in bigger cities like St. Louis too, or it's just hard to witness the pushback on the faith or the kind of.
Well, she thinks, Jackie, that you're not only naive, but you're misguided. Here you are in your little holy circle. You just want to pray and trust Jesus while little kids are getting killed. That's kind of how she views it. It's rather harsh, but that's how she views it. And she's probably a bit intolerant of the way you look at things and the way you explain prayer. There's a couple of overarching themes here. One, our Lord said people are going to be divided because of him. So when you attempt to explain how you view life and how you view faith, there are those people who are going to say, even those that are, as you thought, in your social religious circle, who are going to say, well, that's just kind of foolish, Jackie. If you want to believe that, you go ahead. But that's offensive to me because I care about kids. You don't. You just sit in your little bedroom and pray. All right. That's just absurd, but that's what they think. Second theme is I would ask her, rather than trying to correct her, I would ask her, well, what are you saying? That we shouldn't pray? Be befuddled. Look like you're not understanding her. So are you saying we don't pray? No, I'm saying that prayer is not enough. We need to take action. And then I'd say, I agree. We do need to take action. What action are you thinking? Well, we need to have better gun control. We need to have a... Okay, well, that is a political question. But I don't see how it relates at all to my prayer for those children's souls and their families. Do you?
Yeah.
That's what I would say. I would just kind of say, gee, trying to understand how you think here. I'll ask you questions and you answer them, because I'm not going to sit here and battle you out. God bless you for your faith, Jackie. Stand strong.
This is Life News Radio. I'm Jim Anderson. The family of football great Coach Lou Holtz are lamenting his passing Wednesday, March 4th. They say he held an unwavering belief in the potential of others, and that extended to the unborn, their parents, and pro-life activists. Liberty Counsel is challenging abortion industry action in Virginia to constitutionally place abortion beyond the reach of state regulation for safety, parental rights, or any other purpose. The legislature failed to post their intentions for public inspection in accord with state constitutional demands. The suit seeks to compel at least a restart of the long 2-year process. This is Life News Radio. Imagine you providing one needy family a lifetime of clean water for $99. The global impact of cross-Catholic outreach lets miracles like this happen. It's no wonder Cross Catholic has the endorsement of so many noted bishops. Discover more and find ways to unlock a bright future for those in need. Visit crosscatholic.org. Assisted suicide in Switzerland continues growing, as if to fulfill predictions of opponents of the practice. Those dying now include people with various complaints, not just imminent death. And pro-life advocates in Slovenia still consider their nation a miracle for reversing law last November that had allowed for assisted suicide. And pro-life advocates elsewhere are taking note. Political and medical groups got involved. Citizens went out of their way to sign the referendum. But Christians really helped. Media were denied the opportunity to attack Catholic Church positions in such matters because all the churches rose in opposition to legalized assisted suicide. For pro-life headlines delivered to your email address daily, sign up at lifenews.com. This has been Life News Radio.
You're listening to the least worst of The Doctor Is In with Dr. Ray Guarendi. So please, no calls at this time.
I will get to your calls, and I thank you for your patience. I'm reading a book right now by a psychiatrist. He's been involved in consulting to various priests, exorcists regarding possession, oppression, vexation, infestation. He is a very balanced individual. He initially was a high skeptic of any kind of demonic involvement. He is presently well sought after. He's written articles, and I'm reading his book. It's called Demonic Foes. He has talked about, in some respects, that he doesn't touch it heavily because he's dealing mostly with the cases that he's experienced where he can, without breaking confidentiality, experience of the approach that our culture is becoming very transparent, overt, dealing with demonic subjects, dealing with demons, and not even dealing with them out of appropriate fear, but dealing with them as something to be admired, embraced, made fun of, just taking them not seriously enough for the tremendous damage they can do. So Jerry from Clinton has a question about this. Hi, Jerry.
It's really just, and I see the trend a couple different times. So we're kids of the 80s and 90s and grew up in. My question is how to combat, like, when we have people that are, for lack of a better term, the crazy Christian side of it, to where they're like, nope, it's this, that, you know what I mean? And no matter if we're pretty involved parents where we sit down and watch the content with our children. We don't let them watch inappropriate age things with them. Like PBS is always a good option. But there's certain new ones like cartoons and stuff that we're like, okay, that seems to be okay, and it has a good message. Then it gives you kind of a window to explain, hey, even though they're fighting demons with swords and stuff like that, it's really not how you fight demons, right? Like that, they're real out there. You go to church and, you know, be a good Christian kid and all that good stuff like that. So my question is for the far end of the extremists, to where they just don't listen, and more likely they don't even watch the content where we're like, hey, we're pretty involved parents, so you can sit down and watch it before you tell your grandkids they can't watch it in your house. So that would be my question, is just to how to, other than be like, hey, you know who we are as parents.
Are you saying, Jerry, that you're running across a lot of parents and grandparents who are, at the very least, oblivious to the messages and the themes that the kids are watching, or saying it's no big deal, it's standard culture, the kids have to navigate it, they'll realize that this isn't something they should get involved in? Is that what you're saying, that you're out of sync with a lot of these parents?
And we teach our daughter to, like, he tells you put on the armor of God and go fight those demons every day, right? We tell her, know the difference between right and wrong, pretend what's good for you in your heart and what's not, right? Like, there's stuff on Disney Plus that is absolutely, we're like, nope, you can't watch that. I don't care if it's on Disney or not. So that's kind of where we're talking, but that message doesn't correlate to grandparents. So we're like, no, they're back in, you know, the 90s where Harry Potter and all this stuff. Like, nope, I don't care about it. It has demon in it, magic. We're not watching it. So,
are you saying your grandparents don't understand that your grandparents, or that their grandparents are more willing to let them watch this stuff?
No, they don't. They don't let them watch anything whatsoever. If it has anything that, even if it is approved by parents, again, we watch our children, watch their content, they're just like, no, I don't want them to watch it. But they don't even educate themselves on that side of it to sit down with them and be like, hey, let me see what you're watching. And your parents said it's okay. Teach me about it so I can understand from that pop culture mentality of, hey, maybe I should look more into stuff instead of trying to, you know, just, I think that scares kids off when they're just like, no, God's the way. And he is, right? But you have to, they need more the why behind things anymore. So I wanted to reach out to you as a professional that kind of deal with that stuff, plus as a, you know, man of the cloth, to where we can maybe help bridge that gap a little bit, because our words just aren't connecting at all.
What you're saying if I'm hearing you correctly, is that your parents are not, they're willing to follow what you expect regarding what your kids see, but they're not really talking about it. They're not using it to educate the kids, and you'd like them to.
Right, and I think that would help bridge that gap between grandparents and grandchildren to where, like, oh, they're just not, they're old, and I think it turns them off a little bit, especially kids that are newer in faith, to where it doesn't have to be that heavy of a conversation where you want them to have conversation, but you want them to walk into that willingly and say, hey, yes, I'm a Christian. I don't watch that stuff because of faith, right? But we want our kids to make good choices.
You know why you know why their grandparents don't talk about this stuff?
Probably because they didn't get talked to about it as their kids.
They wouldn't know how to handle it.
Yeah, but it's just very dismissive, and our daughter's very in tune on stuff like that. We always try to explain the whys behind things. It's not always a no for no reason. It's, hey, this is why, right?
Don't use this as any issue to have any kind of ill will toward your parents.
No. It's not that. I always try to, because we're a big Irish family, so we always have good conversations. And it's not anything like my kids can't come over or they're going to watch what they want to watch. Nothing like that. We just tell Emma, hey, right now, just don't watch your Grandma Kimmy's house. That's just, you can, you know what I mean? But just
and how old is Emma? How old is Emma?
10.
That's plenty enough to explain it to her. Just simply say, there's stuff that at your age is not good to watch because you don't understand it.
Yeah.
And it will scare you and hurt you. And as your parents, I'm not going to let you watch it. I mean, that's
right. But that's
plenty enough reason.
Right, but if they're the stuff that we allow her to watch, she's not being allowed to watch that when she goes to her grandma's house.
Okay. Grandma and Grandpa don't want you to watch that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we can still keep going there. I was just wondering if there was a better way to kind of bridge that conversation of, hey,
well,
I appreciate it.
I would suspect that you've talked to him, Jerry, about it, and if you've seen no movement, then you quit badgering the subject. See, we do that a lot in relationships. I've spoken to you, and you're not changing. Well, I'm going to keep spoken to you so you get mad.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to browbeat anybody over it because it's she doesn't go over a whole lot. But I mean, when it's usually the younger grandkids, they're like, Grandma Kim just doesn't understand. I'm like, well, I understand that, and I kind of explained to them way back when, kids weren't allowed to watch Halloween Town or Harry Potter, and you just have to understand. That's just kind of sometimes they're looking out for your best interest, really are.
Yeah,
but
pretty much.
You're just some people you're just not going to read.
You bring up so many issues that I would love to deal with here, but I'm gonna save you for a look back call. But one of them that strikes me is this whole idea that we have made this whole demonic obsession, if you will, become every day in our culture, and this is messing with stuff that you just should not mess with. And you try to demon fight with a sword, and you're going to lose. This is Dr. Ray. Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Ray. You are listening to a least worst of. The Doctor is in. We have no best of, but this is truly one of our least worst. Those are fast hands, whoever that guy is. This is Dr. Ray. Thank you for joining me. This is The Doctor is in. Before I go to your calls, because I know you're up there and I want to talk to you, very quickly, there are still a few seats left as we head to Ann Arbor, God willing, next week, October 20. Oh, Andrew, you're saying there's no seats left? They're sold out? Oh, yikes. Well, I am wrong. Go to AveMariaRadio.net. See, we can take 70 people. See what the numbers are. You can get on a waiting list because people do cancel sometimes. Oh, I didn't know that. I was just being humble. Humble, not assuming that my television show audience would be sold out. It's a very humble thing of me, I think. Don't you think so, Andrew? I think so. Okay, well, you can still check it out anyway. But and then after that, I'm going to make an announcement if I get a chance. On November 11th and 12th, will be in D.C., so we're going to shoot there, too. Anonymous mom from New York has not seen her parents in forever. Now they're going to meet her child. Ooh, but then this is an interesting question, and now she's going to put some details to this. How to prepare for the inevitable. Well, that's interesting. That's an interesting word. Inevitable. It's going to happen. Hostility from them. Hi, Mom. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Well, a couple of things. Why haven't you seen him in a long time?
So we invited them to our wedding. Actually called you last year, the day before our wedding, that they were going to be at in December, and they didn't show up. We ended the whole family convinced that we're not to come. And I thought years ago that caused them not to show up. So,
my dear, are you on speakerphone or something?
Without getting to that side, they didn't show up.
You're breaking up.
The wedding.
You're breaking up.
And so I'm sorry. I have actually not guessed. I was better. You know?
Okay, can you get to another room? Go outside.
Hello.
There you are. Okay. Now, I had asked you.
Okay.
You hadn't seen him for a long time, and you're beginning to describe kind of a friction-filled circumstance.
Yeah, so they weren't at the wedding, long story short, despite being invited.
Wow.
And so we were going to have them come to see. We live across the state. We don't live on the same side of the state. So they were going to come to a hotel, which is that was the plan all along. But we had originally voiced that we were uncomfortable with them coming to our house for the first visit, being that we hadn't seen them in over a year, and they weren't at our wedding. We then
why were you uncomfortable with them coming to your house?
Because we knew that it was going to be like an uncomfortable situation, and we wanted to just see how it went in public first, and then if it went well, we would have wanted to see them another time at our house. And we made that clear to them, but that didn't go over well.
No, that would insult them. That would definitely insult them.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm trying to flesh this out. I want to make sure I got this somewhat right. For your parents not to go to your wedding, obviously there was something about the guy, something about you, something about the past that they said we're just not going. That's it, not happening. All right. Now, in the meantime, it's been a year, and I'm going to assume you've had no contact with him, zero? Nothing, text, nothing. Did we lose a connection here? Oh, shoot. Okay. Well, I think our caller's still there, because it sounds like our caller's still there. We'll take a break to see if you can make sure we get these connections set up there, Eric. This is Dr. Ray, 877-57-EQUAL.
Hey, you're listening to the least worst of the Doctor is In with Dr. Ray Guarendi.
Okay, let's try this again. Our caller on line 3 who had to go because of the phones, if you can hear me, you call back at your convenience. We will definitely talk about your situation with your parents. On to our anonymous caller from New England, who is on a time crunch because her husband doesn't really want her calling. Hi, Anonymous, how are you?
Hi, Dr. Ray.
Here's what I understand. You got two elderly neighbors. One, they're siblings, and one is the more competent of the siblings. The brother is more incapacitated. Is that it?
Well, he can stand up. We thought he was on his deathbed. She comes right over, and we were going to go on vacation for a few days, and we immediately said we have to go, and we thought he was dying. And then she waits till my husband comes home from church or whatever.
Sunday she did that, and I confronted her. I said, listen, our son's in the hospital with autism with major developmental delays, behavioral issues, and he got other issues, fractures, and, she goes, oh, you're a good cook, and she left finally, But they've both never been married. And they have plenty of siblings, but they moved or they died.
She wants your husband to go over and just keep company with her brother.
Yes.
How often? How often?
She didn't say. But my husband, he agrees that she shouldn't have confronted with our son, especially, many months in the hospital. He agrees upon that, but he will go over, encourage him to walk, but he doesn't want to walk, whatever. He wants to, because he felt bad. He thought he died already, and he didn't because... Who?
Did you ask your husband how often he's willing to go sit and for how long?
No, because he doesn't know, because we're visiting our son who's been many months in the hospital.
Ooh.
6 months.
Well, is he the one that's going to handle this lady's requests, or are you?
Him.
Okay.
She wants him. She only talks to him.
Well, I'm saying, is he the one that's going to put limits on her?
No.
Or are you?
I can't. It's his decision. I can't tell him what to do. That's the way my marriage is. So.
Does he see it as a problem? But does your husband see this as a problem?
Yeah, but he's still willing to help. He's Christian and says, well, he'd feel bad if he ever died, and didn't go over.
Well, he's going to have to feel bad, because if the man is elderly and frail, who knows when that will be.
Yeah.
Have you said to your husband, how much time do you want to give them?
No, I haven't. Because my husband doesn't like to ask questions. He's a dry drunk. That's one of the traits.
Oh, boy. Now you just keep complicating the whole thing here, my dear.
Yeah. And my son's been 6 months in the hospital, and you fractured legs and everything, and 10 operations. And, we told her that. And, she has many brothers and sisters. Some died and moved away, And,
I would say the person to talk to is your husband, not your neighbor.
Right.
And to establish with him how much time do you want to give them, how often do you want to go and stay, and how long. And if it comes down to visiting our son, being with our son in the hospital, as opposed to the neighbor, you going to tell her? You're going to say, I'm going to see...
No, he agrees. Our son is more important until he's gets rehab. We're waiting for that. Who knows when? Because, the severity of the fractures, mobility. He finally can stand on his feet, but my son has to be transferred.
Well, you've already explained this.
Explained to her, yes.
To her, and it sounds like big deal. She sounds like she's saying, no, I still want him to come over. You're just in the way.
Yeah. And when I that we all have our crosses, some crosses are heavier than others. He ignored me. He didn't say a word. Not one word.
You say he, meaning your husband?
No, him, her brother.
Her brother, okay. So he's aware. He is... Yeah. Okay, he's cognizant.
I really have to make it... I don't know, someone's trying to call me, but that's okay. It could be my son, he needs attention, and we didn't visit him because,
Sit down with your husband and get some specifics.
Usually.
Sit down with your husband and get some specifics on what... Maybe he could set up a time. Yeah, I'll go there on Tuesday afternoons from 4 to 5 and Saturday mornings from 10 to 11. I'll set up a schedule, I'll follow it, and that'll be it. See if he's willing to do that.
Well, my husband's willing, once our son gets rehab and a closer location, he's willing to help.
Okay,
to visit.
But you're going to have to set some limits on it, because I think from what you're saying, this lady is going to just keep asking and asking and asking. And if she's looking out the window like Gladys Kravitz from the old Bewitched, if she's doing that, waiting for him to come home because then she knows she can come over and ask him, it's a pretty good sign that she's not going to take limits unless he sets them, my dear. God bless you. Thank you for the call. All right, take care. Boy, I got some real confusing... Wow. Leslie, that's pretty heavy. That really is. But I got to get to Alyssa because it's kind of an urgent situation, although yours is too, Leslie. And if I don't get to you, please call back. You'll be first up. Alyssa has a 5-year-old son with autism, very sound sensitive. Going mass is tough, very stressful for him. Hi, Alyssa. I would imagine you probably have sound deadening earmuffs for him, don't you?
Yes, we do.
And how much do they block out?
But he can still hear, but it just sort of muffles it. We have the special but it's still not enough for him a lot of times.
How does the distress show itself?
He yells and waves his arms.
Is he verbal at all?
Oh yeah. He's very verbal. He's very smart.
Okay.
This runs in my family, and all my adult family members with autism. You wouldn't be able to tell, but it's just these early years when they don't know how to It's tough.
Well, I would imagine you almost got to get the stuff that can pretty much, if you say it, block out 90% of the sound, not 50, 90.
I don't know where to get that.
Well, earplugs for one, and then perhaps the foam ear pads for another. So between the two of them, and then you go maybe to the cry room where it isn't quite so loud that you can do that. And if it comes so bad, if he becomes disruptive, obviously you leave and you go out into the vestibule or maybe sit in the car, and then as he calms down, you come back in, you say, we're going to try again. We're going to try again, because I'm going to tell you, we're not going to leave because you scream and yell.
Yeah.
I don't know how much, see, in a situation like this, I don't know, and it's really hard to separate out, and I know there are those parents with children with autism who would say, oh my gosh, Dr. Ray, you're way off. But you can't always know the level of distress as measured by physiologically, I can't take this, and I don't want to take this.
Yeah, it's hard to tell.
Yes. In his mind, even the slightest discomfort of a sound he may be convinced I can't tolerate. That's just way too much for me. It overwhelms my system. So only as a mom, you know that. And you know what kind of chaos and stimulation he can take in other environments. If this is particularly targeted to being in mass. It may be something about the crowd. It may be something about feeling closed in. I don't know. But is there something about... Go ahead, please.
I think it's the crowd, because he is very sound sensitive. I don't think he's making it up just to make it up, but I think he has handled loud situations before, but in less crowded.
Okay. That could be the indication. If you can go to a mass that's less crowded, or go to the cry room, or even sit in the vestibule if they stream on camera the mass, as our parish does. Out in the vestibule, the mass is there. You're out by yourself. You're alone. It's kind of quiet. Call back, those of you waiting. This is Dr. Ray. Walk with God. That's how you be a saint.
For information on Dr. Ray's presentations, books, and CDs, visit drray.com and follow him on Facebook and Instagram. The Doctor Is In is a co-production of Ave Maria Radio and EWTN Radio, and carried across the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.
The end.